Dear students, it's 21st May and the time is 5 p.m. This is lecture number 3 on George Bernard Shaw. On George Bernard Shaw's play, the prescribed play, which is Arms and the Man. In the first lecture, we discussed drama. I gave you a brief introduction about drama. In the next lecture, we had a detailed discussion on George Bernard Shaw as a dramatist, right? And now this is part 3 of this lecture series where we will discuss. I will share the screen with you so that you can see the topic on your screens. Here is the screen. I will share it with you. I hope it's visible. Arms and the Man. Now we will come to the drama which we are supposed to study. I repeat, in the first drama, it was drama, a brief introduction. In the second part, we discussed George Bernard Shaw as a dramatist. I gave you a detailed introduction about his works, his biography, etc. Now, today we shall discuss Arms and the Man by G.B. Shaw. I will just introduce this drama to you in today's lecture. I will start. Here is the first slide in front of you. Introduction to Arms and the Man. You know, this is a satirical play with a lot of wit and humor. Wit and humor are not so tough words for you because these words are used in our day-to-day conversations. Satire is something in a very broad manner, in a very general sense. Satire means to make fun of something or somebody. When I say satirical play, I mean that in this play, the dramatist, the playwright, laughs over something, right? He makes fun of something. Now, what he makes fun of, that will be discussed in the next slide. So this play is not tragedy. See, when we discuss drama, I gave you, the definition and examples of comedy as well as tragedy. This Arms and the Man is a comedy, right? You will laugh throughout the drama when you will read the text of the drama. And it is a satire. He makes fun of a few things in the drama, which we will discuss in the next slide. There is wit, there is humor. All the plays written by G.B. Shaw are witty and humorous in nature. It is an anti-romantic comedy. See, it is a comedy. The word comedy is clear to you. We discussed it in our part 2. If somebody does not know the meaning of the comedy, I have discussed it in detail in my previous lecture. You can go into the playlist of my YouTube channel, the semester 4th playlist. There you will find the part 1 and part 2 of this lecture series. It is an anti-romantic comedy. Now, comedy is clear, but anti-romantic means in which the illusions of love have been, laughed at. They have been made fun of, right? The illusions of romantic love, the illusions of life. So this is an anti-romantic comedy, this Arms and the Man. As far as the title of the drama is concerned, it has been borrowed from, there is a famous Latin poet. The name is there in the third line in front of you on your screens. Virgil. Virgil was a Latin poet. He has written some famous poems. One of the poems is Aeneid. So this title has been borrowed from Virgil's Aeneid, right? This Aeneid is a story about the glorification of war, the glorification of warriors and soldiers, right? So what is that exact, that Latin expression from which our Arms and the Man title has been borrowed? It is, I won't be able to pronounce it in a typical, Latin. I don't know Latin pronunciation, but this is how we can pronounce it. It is there on your screens. Arma virumque cano, which means in English, if you translate it, it means of arms and the man I sing. Of arms and the man I sing. The quotation marks where I close them, they have been wrongly typed. There is a typo. So of arms and the man, I think, is the English translation of this Latin expression from Virgil's Aeneid. So from here, the title of the play has been borrowed, has been taken by G.B. Shaw. This play was for the first time published in 1898 as a part of the volume Plays Pleasant. In the last lecture, in part number 2, we discussed these 2 volumes by G.B. Shaw. The first one was Plays Unpleasant, and the second one was Plays Pleasant. In this volume, this Arms and the Man was published for the first time, although it was produced 3 or 4 years before the publication. But it was published for the first time in Plays Pleasant, in which the famous drama Candida was published as well. I will move on to the next slide. Here it is. It was the first commercially successful play by G.B. Shaw. Before this play, he had written novels, like I told you in the last lecture, around 4 or 5 novels, and some 3 or 4 plays in the volume Plays Unpleasant. But Arms and the Man is credited with the fact that it is the first commercially successful play by G.B. Shaw. He was a poor man, I told you yesterday. But once this play got directed, once this play got published and staged, Shaw's fortunes change. Right now, what is the theme of the play? What is it which is dealt with in the play by G.B. Shaw? The play deals with the senselessness of war. He makes fun of war. See, like I mentioned, Virgil's Aeneid, their war is glorified. Their war is, celebrated. But it is the exact opposite in our play Arms and the Man. That is why it is an anti-romantic comedy, right? Here, futility of war is discussed. Senselessness of war is discussed. How war brings, more destruction. It leads to war. Usually what we think nowadays, even our young men have this issue. We think that war can bring peace. When there is a problem, a conflict between 2 countries, what they do? They go for a war. We have so many conflicts on international and national level in the world that we most of us, we favor war, and ironically we favor war to bring peace. So it's not possible. So Shaw was of the opinion that war cannot bring peace, right? The second point which is discussed in the play is illusions of love. He discusses illusions of romantic love, because when young man or young women, they think that they build castles in the air when they are in love with somebody, but all the illusions get washed away once a person faces the real love, the practical love. Once a writer says, I don't remember the name, he says that when poverty enters from the door, love jumps out of the window. So this is the baseline of this play. Further, he satirizes, he makes fun of the hypocrisies of human nature. Human beings are mostly hypocrites. We all know that. I may be very presentable to you people. You may think that Jamsheed sir is, very presentable. He is a very good person because you see me as a teacher only. You do not know me as a human being. You do not know me as a son, as a father, as a husband, as a brother. So we people tend to present ourselves in a different manner in different situations. So what I mean to say, human nature is actually hypocrite. I am not generalizing it, but Shaw satirizes the hypocrisies of human nature in this play, right? Now, coming to the last point on this slide, that is, there are lots of allusions. See, I use 2 words, rather you note it. I have used 2 words. One is illusion, another is allusion. Illusion is in line number 2 in green, where I have written deals with the senselessness of war and illusions of love. In the last line, I have written lots of allusions, right? Illusion we have already discussed. Allusion means it's a literary device. It's a literary technique where a writer gives listen carefully. Allusion is where a writer gives reference to a person, to an event, to a place, to a historical figure, or to some other other work of literature. I repeat, allusion is reference to a person, a place, an event, any historical event, place, or person, or another literary work, another poem, another novel, another drama. They are such technique is called allusion. Shaw uses lots of allusions in this drama. If you read the text, if you go through it carefully, you will see that lots of allusions have been used. Some of the allusions I have written here on the screen. You can read them. Byron, Lord Byron was a poet. So Byron is referred. Pushkin was a Russian poet. He too is referred. Allusion to Pushkin is there in the drama. And the third one, I have given you just a few examples. That's why I have written etc. there towards the end of the slide. Cervantes' Don Quixote. Cervantes' Don Quixote. He was a Spanish novelist. This Don Quixote is a very tough word to pronounce, but there are ways to pronounce it. I prefer to pronounce it as Don Quixote. Don Quixote. So this is a novel, a Spanish novel written by Cervantes. This novel too is referred to in the drama. So there are some allusions: Byron, Pushkin, Don Quixote, etc. I will move on to the next slide now. Now coming to the play itself. This was the introduction of the play. This was the introduction, right? To arms and the man. Now I will move on to the major characters of the play. This is very important. You should, you can use the screenshots of this slide, or you can just pen these names down. You can jot them down on a piece of paper. Major characters of the play. Usually, we discussed the word character in the last lecture. We usually divide characters into two types. One is major character, another is minor character. Major is who play the major role in the play. Minor characters or who play the minor role. It's very simple. Then there is another way of dividing the word character in a play: flat character and round character. I won't discuss these two terms here, but you can check your dictionaries for these two terms: flat character and round character. Right now, coming to the characters, the major characters. The first major character in the play is Raina Petkov. Raina Petkov is the lead heroine of the play. She is the central figure of the play. She is the one around whom the other characters revolve in the play. She is a young girl, an unmarried girl, and very beautiful. So the first character is Raina Petkov. The second is Major Paul Petkov. He is Raina's father, a very amiable, a good-natured family man. He loves to be with his family. Although he is not a major, like I told you that Shah is very, satirical throughout the play, full of wit and humor. She is not a major. She has acquired this, you all know that major is usually, we in India use it. This major is used in army, right? In Navy, we have sub-lieutenant, lieutenant commander, and etc. In army, we have lieutenant, captain, major, and then the other ranks. So it's a rank in army. He is not an actual army person. He has somehow he got this rank major with his name just to show to the people that, see, I am very brave, right? So he is Raina's father. The third major character is Sergius Saranov. Some people pronounce it as Sergius. So even that is correct because it's a noun. I pronounce it Sergius. Sergius Saranov. Sergius Saranov is Raina's fiance. Raina is engaged to him, right? And it is a typical romantic character. I have forgotten to put a space in between A and typical. He is a typical romantic character. He shows so much of love for Raina because they are engaged, and we will come to know in the play that he flirts with another woman as well in the drama. So even Sergius Saranov is laughed at by GB Shaw. Then there is the fourth major character. He is the actual hero, Bluntschli. Bluntschli is a Swiss officer, a soldier, somebody who belongs to Switzerland, right? But he fights for Serbia. Now, why Serbia? Why Switzerland? We will discuss that in the next slide. He is fighting for Serbia because there is a war in the play. He is fighting for one party. One party is Serbia, the country Serbia. He later loves and marries Raina. Later on in the play, the story takes a turn, and Raina, breaks off. She gets, she leaves Sergius Saranov, and she marries Bluntschli. Chocolate soldier, I have kept it within quotes. Chocolate soldier is a term used for Bluntschli by Raina Petkov. Chocolate soldier is actually used in army. Chocolate soldier is used for a soldier who is not able to fight, who is not made for fighting. Understand? So Bluntschli is not actually a soldier who is fighting a war for the sake of war. He has been hired by Serbia to fight the war for money. So he is doing it. That is why he is called chocolate soldier. We will discuss this in detail when we discuss his character. So the next slide is minor characters. Now there is one important point here which you have to note. I have put these three characters as minor characters, but somebody may say that Catherine is a major character. It's not a big deal. There is no hard and fast rule here. I mean, I have kept Catherine Petkov. She's Raina's mother. So I felt while I studied this drama that she's a minor character. So I have kept her in the category of minor characters, but you can place her in the major character if you feel so. Lauka is another character. She is an ambitious, shrewd maid in the house of Petkov. So she is a maid who works for them, and she is very, very intelligent, very ambitious, and very clever. And Sergius Saranov, he flirts with Lauka as well, like I mentioned in the previous slide. And the last character is Nicola, right? We have just 7 main characters in the drama. Nicola is an intelligent, a middle-aged man, and he is a faithful servant in the house of Petkovs, right? So Lauka is a maid, Nicola is a servant. So in the next slide, we will see now the setting of the play. Now we will come to the main part, the story part. Before we move on with the story part, that will be obviously done in the part 4 in the next lecture. This play, like we discussed, that most of the plays are divided into acts. So this play, Arms and the Man, has been divided into 3 acts. Right? There are 3 parts, 3 acts in the play. As far as the action of the time of the action of the play is concerned, as far as the setting of the action is concerned, it is November 1885. It is November 1885. Why? Because in the play, you will come to know in the very beginning that there is a war. A war is going on. It is not going on in the play, but it is in the background. So you will see that there is a war. I have written the name of the war in front of you. That is Serbo-Bulgarian War. The war fought between Serbia and Bulgaria. Bluntschli, the main hero to whom Raina gets married to towards the end of the play, he is fighting for Serbia, right? And the Petkov family, they live in Bulgaria, right? So this Serbo-Bulgarian War, it's a historical event which took place. This war took place from 2nd to 28 November 1885. You can check it from your history books, right? Now, the setting. Where is the play, taking place, the action taking place? Time I have already given you, November 1885, Serbo-Bulgarian War. Setting is Balkan region of Bulgaria. There is an entire, a very vast geographical area, Balkan region, it is called the Balkan. And one of the small battles, one of the battles in that Serbo-Bulgarian war is Slivnitze battle, the Battle of Slivnitze. It is there on your screens. So this Bluntschli, the main hero of the play, is actually involved in the Battle of Slivnitze. There is a war going on, right? And one of the battles was fought in an area called Slivnitze. So that is called Battle of Slivnitze. You can again check it from your history book. So Shaw has, the setting of the play is quite historical, but the action of that war is not happening. That does not happen in the play itself. It is there in the background. Now, I will, for your information, you need to know about this war, Serbia and Bulgaria, why they were fighting. Why they were fighting. It's very important to know that Serbia and Bulgaria were actually, right, they were the part of that Balkan region. I told you that that's quite a big geographical area. That's quite a vast geographical area. Both these, Bulgaria and this Serbia, they were ruled over by Ottoman Empire, उस्मानिया एम्पायर जिसको हम कहते हैं, उस्मानिया सल्तनत, जो आप एर्तुरुल वगैरह आजकल देखते हो, एर्तुरुल गाजी वगैरह, उस्मान, they used to rule them for more than 4 to 5 centuries. During the 19th century, some people got up and they started fighting against Ottoman Empire, Osmania Empire. And in September 1885, Bulgaria joined Ottoman Empire. They joined another country, which is Rumelia, and they showed their allegiance towards Ottoman Empire. But Serbia was not in favor of Ottoman Empire. So there was a war between Serbia and Bulgaria. Bulgaria was on the side of Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria was supported by Russia as well. Serbia was supported by Austria and Hungary as well. But the result of the war was that Bulgaria won the war at that time. They were supported by Russia and Ottoman Empire. They showed allegiance towards Ottoman Empire. Right? Now, as far as the place of action is concerned, see, this is very important. Time, place, and action. I have given it time, the setting, and then action. Action takes place in the house of Petkovs. Some action takes place in Raina's bedroom. Some part of the action is in the garden of the Petkovs family, their house. And some action is there in the library. So all the action of the play is within that house. Understand? So this is, I suppose, all for today. This is enough for today. Right? I have discussed introduction to Arms and Man, right? We discussed the title, we discussed how, when it was published, etc. And it's an anti-romantic comedy, satirical play. Then we moved on to that it was the first commercially successful play by G.B. Shaw. The themes, the senselessness of war, illusions of love, hypocrisies of human nature. We talked about some allusions. After that, we discussed the major characters of the play: Raina Petkov, Major Paul Petkov, her father; Sergei Saranhoff, her fiance; Bluntschli, her lover; then Catherine, her mother; Lauka, the ambitious and clever maid in Petkov family; Nicola, who is another servant in the family. Then we discussed the setting. It has been divided into 3 acts. Then we talked about Serbo-Bulgarian war. I gave you a detailed historical account of this war, why these 2 countries, Serbia and Bulgaria, were fighting. Then the setting, that is the Balkan region of Bulgaria. The action of the play, it takes place in the house of Petkovs, Raina's bedroom, their garden and library. That's all for today. I have written a quote in front of you. It is our duty to live as long as we can. G.B. Shaw. This is a quote by G.B. Shaw, and interestingly, this quote I have taken from Act 1 of the play Arms and the Man. Bluntschli says to Raina that it is our duty to live as long as we can. It's very relevant, this quote, because due to the pandemic, we are getting very hopeless, We see death and destruction all around. Thousands of people are dying and they are getting admitted in the ICUs. And in this context, this quote is very, very, relevant. It is our duty to live as long as we can. Thank you. Take care. If